So I'm a minutes police Karen now. Is that who I am?
You?
I am now a minute. That's the deal.
No. You are, and I will let people let you speak on this more, but I would let people know Jarod is somebody who I've talked to a ton about minutes. We've talked about this on other stuff. We believe in the science. Just to be clear, we ain't out here ignoring the science, right? Jarod and I also a very common point, which East Blue Drew brought up. Play your young guys early in the season, even if you can against lesser competition. So in case you have injuries, they can be better prepared. That's the problem where I've always been critical with Tom Thibodeau. That's been my thing, right?
Yeah.
You can get guys ready because injuries are going to happen. You cannot predict when they're going to happen.
Injuries are a funny thing, right? Because I think when you're a fan, you always want it to be a this caused this, right? You want a cause effect. You want something simple. And the reality is not always that simple. Yes, somebody gets knocked into somebody else and lands whatever. And yes, that's an easy one to see, a contact injury. The non-contact ones are tougher to determine, well, what is the actual cause of this? And actually, right. you mentioned soft tissue injuries. That is one way in which minutes can expose themselves in soft tissue injuries. The other thing about extensive minutes is that the way everyone has a way in which they move. Every athlete, every person, you move us a specific kind of way. The more tired you are, the less optimal that movement is, right? And when you play heavy minutes, it just gets worse and worse and worse. What does that mean? How you take off, how you land, right? All these various things. And so those may not necessarily be a soft tissue injury. You may just land and it's like, oh, something feels weird. You go back, now you got a meniscus issue, right? And it's like, it isn't about the contact. It's about the amount of minutes that this person has played has caused their movement to be suboptimal than what it normally is. And because of that, they took off wrong. They landed wrong. They planted wrong. All the various things you need when you're playing basketball, right? So it's always a lot of things. There's never one specific thing. It's always multiple things. Now, to the point about Tibbs and his guys, yeah. I mean, as I always say, you guys know, if you got a 15-man roster, I mean, if you're not going 10, 11 deep, then what the hell's the point of having these people on the roster earning paychecks? Play them. And you got to play them early in the season. Not now. You got 10 games left. What you going to learn now?
Right.
You have no sample size. 10 games means nothing. That is zero sample size to give you anything you need to get ready for the playoffs. The time to be doing this was game 1, game 10, game 20, game 30, not game 72. So, you had a rundown for the show. What can the Knicks learn about? Nothing. All right. There's nothing nothing, because you have 10 games. There is nothing you can do. It's 10 games, my guy. Who you got?
Well, okay. This is what I think the fans are going to want to know, Jarod, though, right? Because you're right. I agree with you completely. You're not. I know somebody out there is going to say, well, Dex, in the last 3 games, you've seen Tyler Kolek out there, right? And have you learned something from him?
Yeah, I learned something.
Yeah, I've learned something. I've learned Tyler Kolek can pass. You know what else I learned? You could have played him early in the season.
For sure.
Right? You could have done that against some lesser opponents, which is all I have been saying Bryan, have I not been saying this entire season?
Yes,
the whole season.
I also want to add, though, like with Tyler Kolek, he's the guy that other teams are going to look at and be like, all right, let's get him in a one-on-one.
Well, there you go. I love him as a long-term potential backup prospect for the backup playmaker for this team.
I agree.
You mentioned before his assist turnover ratio, money, elite already at this young stage. You can't teach that stuff. He's a bad offensive player beyond the passing, like bad in terms of shooting, spacing, and all that, right? Number one, knowing when to cut, knowing when to move. In the playoffs, that's a problem, right? You can't be getting in Jalen Brunson's way, or you can't be getting in Cat's way, or whatever the situation may be. 2, as you guys mentioned, he is abhorrent on defense. And you guys know what the playoffs are about, man. The playoffs is
matchup
Darwinian in its most primal sense, right? These guys are predators, and they're like, who is the weak link? Meat. And they line up to get that person lined up to get cooked one-on-one to force the other team. Well, you got a choice now. Keep him on the floor. We're going to go at him every single time. You can't play that guy. You just can't do it. Not in the playoffs where every possession matters.
And if you're going to play that guy, they have to knock down shots like a Peyton Pritchard.
And he doesn't knock down shots. Like Peyton shoots like 43% from three. He ain't that.
But the reason why Boston can get away with it also is because, one, he's had playoff moments. I'm saying in the playoffs, he's had times where he's knocked down shots, but also they can yank him because they have other guys they can go to, and they could also hide him because you could surround him with 4 high-level defenders.
Elite.
This team does not have that. Not as a collective. They don't.
Right. And that's the difference. Now, there's an argument, and I think this is kind of East Blue Drew's point and my point and Jarod's point. Well, maybe, I don't know how much better of a defender Tyler Kolek could have got from game 1 or game 10.
Oh, he would have gotten better for sure.
Right.
If he played he would have gotten better.
Sure.
Because he'd been put in these situations. And somebody's going to say, well, Tyler Kolek's played in the G League. That's not the same as playing in the NBA. The reason it's a different league.
The G League, I said it last week, the G League is worse now than it's been in a while. It's like Bronny James, no disrespect, but he got almost 40. And like you see some of the numbers that, like, I think Drew Timme with the Long Island Nets is going crazy in the G League.
Just put up 39 the other day.
And also
crazy.
That's not real basketball in the sense that guys are trying to get there so they can get the call up, right? So it's a whole lot of jocking one-on-one. Like, it's just, look, again, I like Kolek, and I think he is a nice long-term fit for this team. Where y'all want to go as a squad, as an organization, he cannot play meaningful minutes if you think you're getting to a conference finals, because it ain't gonna happen.
Not
this season.
Not this season. Right. That's what I'm saying. Not this season. Do I think he should be given a shot at the backup role next season?
For
Absolutely.
Sure.